this is Hot Indonesia, where our goal is to keep you awake at night. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. Answering Abbott, why Australia should be ashamed of his undiplomatic remarks. Lion Air lesson, what action is needed to prevent future airport chaos. And music Mecca, why Java Jazz is such a hot number. Both Sarah and Yenny are out this week. Sitting in for them are Lynda Ibrahim, business consultant and newspaper columnist and regular analyst on Today's Indonesia, and Stephanie Yoe, CEO of the Jakarta City Life website and recent finalist in the Putri Indonesia competition. And we'll talk about that a little later. Hot topic number one, answering Abbott. The remarks from Australia's Prime Minister were a bit surprising and disappointing. Tony Abbott was calling for the cancellation of the executions of 2 Australian drug convicts. Fair enough. But he then said Indonesia should keep in mind the emergency money given by Australia following the 2004 tsunami that devastated much of Aceh. The linkage raised emotional protests, and one symbolic protest which sprung up was and I love this, the collecting of coins for Abbott to repay Australia for the $790 million given to Indonesia. I mean, the coins is great. Abbott's remarks are dumb.
No, yeah, here's the thing. I'm not naive. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I understand when there's bilateral aids between 2 countries or multilateral aid, there is always something in catch. But that should not include relief aid. I mean, just in case, I kind of start wondering, maybe 10 years ago when tsunami struck, Abbott was actually living in a cave, and I'm actually looking at news that he didn't see that within 1 hour, how many people just died. Right. You know, around the
dumb
Indian
guy.
Ocean.
I don't understand why a high-level senior guy like that would say something like that.
Here's the thing, though, and I'm trying to be objective about this as much as possible, you know, raging as I am. I think that deep down inside, Tony Abbott actually thinks so. That no, it wasn't.
We gave you money. You better do what we say.
Yes, even though but technically he didn't give the money. He wasn't even a prime minister at that time,
I think it was more of a desperation call for him too, because he cares a lot about these 2 people from Australia. And the fact that he gave money, it should be more sympathetic towards these 2 people.
Why would he care about these 2 convicted drug runners who masterminded other big drug rings as well?
No, I don't think it's a personal sympathy, but it's a duty as a prime minister. You have to do that whenever your citizens are abroad. Right. You know, Indonesia does that the same. I mean, I'm not questioning. Yeah, that's fair and square. It's just the comment of the tsunami aid. I'm just like, dude, you want your change back? Send us the bill.
Well, Aceh's former governor was quoted in the Jakarta Post as saying, we, Indonesians, shouldn't be so childish as Abbott with the coin collection, right? That we are hurting his feelings. But I found it funny.
Really?
I found it funny and rather refreshing that Indonesians reacted in this kind of, amusing way. Yeah, it was great.
No, I think Irwandi Yusuf had to say that because he's a former governor. He had to maintain a lot of political ties and everything. And I think it wasn't so much of hurting Tony Abbott's feelings that Irwandi Yusuf was fearing, but it's hurting Australians' feelings. And I agree with that. But the thing is, I think most of Australians know the quarrel is not with Australians. It's not even about this great debate about a death penalty. Most of Indonesians haven't even, reached that part yet of having a big debate, national debate on death penalty.
But that issue of capital punishment should stand on its own. I mean, that's a separate, not debate. Linked to anything like this aid.
Absolutely, that's why he's
capital
an ass.
punishment in itself. Other countries have criticized Indonesia for trying to save citizens, as you mentioned, overseas executions, while ignoring pleas at home, and that's fair criticism. That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, I mean, your thoughts on the issue of capital punishment is a separate thing, right? And no linkage.
No linkage.
If you were asked that question, for example, Stephanie, on the stage of the Miss Indonesia, Putri Indonesia pageant, what would you have said to about this event? About this?
We actually practiced one of the questions like this.
What was
during
your
the pageant.
What was your
answer? And then one of the answer, because is it ethical for capital punishment or not? And the answer that we're supposed to say would be, it's better to lose one liability than to lose the whole nation of Indonesia. Because drugs,
that was a consensus.
Yes.
Okay. So you know what's interesting thing? most of Indonesia, like I said, hadn't even gotten into this debate. But because of the Abbott's comments, suddenly people took up interest. And guess where their leanings now are, too? It's completely against the interests of Australia. So, yay, Tony Abbott, great diplomacy.
Okay, Australia's foreign minister, who works for Tony Abbott, tried to calm emotions by saying Australia remains a friend of Indonesia. So it's like bad cop, good cop. Again,
No,
I mean, I'm sure they knew what they were doing.
No, I think it really came off as an offhand remark that was very much possibly sincere on the part of Tony Abbott, and then Julie Bishop just had to clean up the mess. I'm sorry, I can only imagine, she must have had a mini heart attack and what, my boss just said that publicly, and she had to scramble to the phone, calling up Yusuf Kala and apologize.
Fix it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for that woman.
Yeah. Okay.
So Julie Bishop, I'm sorry for you.
I would say at this point, it's not a high point of bilateral relations because they also talked about the Ban Bali campaign, right? In
Which is
protest of the exhibition.
That one was laughable,
right? I mean, no, these Australians are not going to Kuta. Yeah, come on.
Right. When you're gonna send your backpackers to Australia, if not to Bali, it's the closest, cheapest option from Australia. Duh.
I mean, I think
it is a popular hotspot.
I think the relationship will survive and thrive, and despite diplomatic ill remarks by leaders, right? And we've had our share as well. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly. What can prevent another airport mess and passenger protests? You're watching Hot Indonesia with guest hosts Lynda Ibrahim, Stephanie Yoe, and me. Here's Hot Topic number 2, Lion Air lesson. It was the latest and biggest customer service problem for the country's biggest discount carrier. Damage to 3 aircraft led to a snowball effect of delayed and canceled flights. At the peak of the airport chaos, several thousand people were left stranded, some for several days, and there were, lead us to say, angry customers at the airport last week, some of whom just got out of Jakarta. This week, the problem was not mechanical, I think, because all airlines have that, and delays happen. It was communication. No one seemed to be in charge, we were told, at the airport to explain what was going on, or whoever was in charge was too afraid to speak up. I mean, you had an angry crowd, right?
Yeah.
They were raging. They were throwing everything around the airport. It was crazy.
Understandably, because if you look at the schedule, it was actually a perfect time to have a long weekend because there was the
Chinese New Year and stuff.
Chinese New Year. So a lot of people, even though they were not celebrating Chinese New Year, they wanted to get out of the city using that long weekend, and they ended up being in the airport.
Anyone know anyone who was caught up in that mess?
I had a friend who was there. She was raging mad, and I was in a hospital, of course, at that time for the dengue fever, and I was looking at these things, and all I could say was okay, I thought I was in a bad place, apparently a few other thousand people were in a worse place.
You prefer being in the hospital with dengue fever than being
with IV stuck, but at least
they
in
didn't
the
even
bed.
get food, I heard.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think they did because one of my cousins is a stewardess there, and she didn't even dare to come out from the check-in counter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they
But
can't
how does it escalate?
The
Oh,
uniform.
so they strip off the uniform because they were afraid of
people tracking them.
backlash.
It shouldn't escalate that high. Emotions should not run that high where you're physically scared for your safety.
But then I could only imagine there's several, maybe 30 crew the most at that time, and then there's 3,000 angry people. Yeah, not a good balance, Dalton.
Even the check-in counters, right? They're all closed.
I saw that on TV.
Yeah.
Is that true? So that wasn't just
It was all closed. Yeah, it was all closed.
See, is that proper management? Is that the way you handle a
I
crisis?
don't think so because I asked my cousin what happened, but they didn't get any orders from the CEO or whatever to do something, so they can't really tell the customers what they want them to do at all.
So there
they
was
had no clue.
Well,
there's no crisis management.
They don't have their own minds. They can't say, okay, everybody line, they can take charge. Somebody can take charge. But anyway, there were reports also of passengers actually going out on a tarmac, right? They're getting, but to me that's going over the line a little bit because that you jeopardize security on the runways and it affects other flights. So customers should not do that. I mean, there's ways to protest, but that was a little far. So, but that's.
I think it should have been more security because what I remember clearly is that it disrupts several flights of AirAsia. They got their own passengers. The flights were on time, but these passengers couldn't get on board in their AirAsia flights because
even for Sriwijaya Air too, it got disrupted.
That wasn't fair to those other people. They had nothing to do with
it wasn't fair to the Lion Air customers to begin with. I mean,
true.
Because one part of that was refunds. When you're delayed over certain hours, you get compensated. They were not handed out in a timely manner, which added fuel to that fire.
Until Angkasa Pura stepped in.
And that's right. The airport company
borrowed money.
did, but it goes back to basic customer service SOP guidelines. You're taught in customer service school, if there's such a thing, how to handle people when they're angry, and nobody followed.
I wonder. It was such a national scale crisis, and the owner of Lion Air, Rusdi Kirana, is on the board of the One Team Press. The people who
Presidential Advisory Board.
Board.
That was one point. You're right. Lion Air had several routes suspended. Okay, following that, but like a slap on the wrist. But some cynics maybe like Lynda, say that nothing more happened because the owner of Lion Air is a major supporter of President Joko Widodo. Is that fair or is that unfair?
Because remember what happened with AirAsia? Yes, it was a bad accident. I'm sorry about that. But the reaction that Minister Yonan had immediately was just out of proportion. No frills airline all of a sudden. And now this happened, and it's not just one flight. It's the accumulation, snowballing.
But nobody died in Lion Air, so.
No, but then it was a very bad practice that you could tell not just happened during that weekend, but had been a fruit of mismanagement for so many years, and it was a slap on the wrist. So I wonder, maybe Minister Yonan was chicken out by Rusdi Kirana being on the presidential supervisory.
So you think there was some linkage, as we talked about earlier?
I would, Sir Mister.
Perhaps.
Hey, well, what's the feeling? You said your cousin is a flight attendant. I mean, are they proud of their airline? Is she happy to wear the uniform going
She's
to
very
work?
happy.
Yes,
She's very happy
they are world class. Supposedly, they announced the world's largest order of aircraft with President Obama there. You remember the big signing in Bali. But you get down to the basic level, you don't want to fly Lion Air. That's what some people say. I'll never fly it because of these kind of incidents.
But then they do still.
Well, it's a budgetary
Yes.
thing because they're a discount carrier.
But would you fly still with the Lion
I would
Air?
prefer Garuda, to be honest. But if it's really urgent, then I would fly Lion Air.
No, that's honest. Most of Indonesians would say that.
Yeah, because I think Lion Air they have a lot of flights compared to other aircrafts,
Great point. That's true.
What would you have done if you were there trapped on Friday? That Friday when the height of the chaos at the airport. I'm afraid to hear what Lynda would have done.
Lynda has been in such situation, and she just calmly. It was Adam Air. Adam Air last flight out of Bali. They folded bankrupt the very next day, and that was the last flight.
No result because you were flying the day before.
No, but I just calmly, after being boarded and then deplaned several times, and I just calmly stepped out that one last time, and then I said, I'm just gonna take whatever I can get from the refund, and please just get my suitcase out. I'm not flying out tonight, not with you guys, not with anybody. And of course they tried to stop me. Oh ma'am, this is just another 20 minutes, and I'm like, no, we've had this 3 times. But I was very calm. That's what you have to get. They did it. They ushered me into the counter, and they just refunded me only 95%. But it was okay. I take whatever I could get, and then they asked for my suitcase, and this is what I always do.
Maybe that's the answer. Remain calm and not yell, not throw things.
And then of course 30 minutes later, when I was still waiting for my suitcase to be taken out, more people coming in and get really angry, and everyone just got really angry, and I stepped out.
All it takes is one hot person, and everybody follows, right?
I really think if they actually do get directions and guidance about what to do, they wouldn't be as mad as they are.
Yeah. Somebody standing up. So what to do next time? I'd say keep cool as your passenger, and make sure the airline has a designated spokesman or person, PIC, person in charge.
Crisis management crisis.
Yeah, and have enough cash on hand to give refunds, because their excuse was we didn't have enough cash at the airport. Okay, simple. More Hot Indo is coming up. Why? The sound of music is a big thing this coming week. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, music Mecca. this will be the 11th year of Southeast Asia's premier music event, the Jakarta International Java Jazz Festival from March 6th to the 8th. International artists such as Jessie J will join local acts such as Shilon 7 and G Expo in Kamayoran. 60 shows per day, 90 artists, a place to be for non-stop music. Now, it's not purely a jazz event. As we know, it's evolved over the years. Jessie J, of course, known for her big hit, Price Tag.
Yes.
Yeah, pop staple. Santana has come before, Stevie Wonder.
James Brown has come before.
He's come
Yes.
before, and
Yeah,
he can't
I
come
watched
anymore.
that one.
He can't make it anymore.
He's already dead.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't
But
really.
I made it to that one.
Me too. I went there. It was a long time ago.
You know, it doesn't really matter
When I was
anymore
in
that
high
it's not a
school,
jazz.
probably.
Yeah,
thing,
it was
right?
still in Senayan at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
time, right? James
I was
Brown.
still in high school
Yeah.
at the time.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay,
It's not a
she's
jazz
like-
event anymore, right, ladies?
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of a music variety thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or does it? Because jazz purists say, hey, where did it go? Where did our jazz artists go?
Yeah, I heard that criticism from like serious jazz lovers.
There's still quite a lot though. JB Cullum was from last year.
And you got Dave Brubeck and other jazz acts, but
Dave Koz was there too.
They of course always goes.
Yeah.
like
But you have
almost-
to pick them out of the 90 artists, maybe.
Yes.
10% is jazz anymore, which is not a, you know, I'm not criticizing, but that's the way it is now. You can't sell a pure jazz event, I think, anymore.
But there's a lot of jazz enthusiasts, especially in Asia, I would say. There's
Yeah.
still quite a lot.
Yeah.
Jazz, blues.
But it won't command a big stage
No.
like
Festival,
that
no.
as
In Jakarta did have that when I was growing up. It's called Jack Jazz. And it was
Oh, yeah,
pure
it was
jazz.
huge.
It was but then it didn't really I think it didn't really carry out for the longest time. Maybe because it was like purely jazz.
Yeah.
So all the jazz enthusiasts would have been there, but then there would have been just them, you know? Whereas this, you know, a lot of people came out, I think 2 years ago when Santana came. I couldn't go, I was so mad.
I was there.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then just people who had never been on Java Jazz, I think just made that trip because it was Santana.
Of course. You know, this year they're saying that there's a lot more local talent, maybe because they couldn't get bigger artists to come because they draw them. But for example, they have some Indonesian Idol winners, which is that a draw to me? But I don't know
I
about
think they've had it like from last year.
Okay, but the also they have the three divas who
Yeah.
like Indonesia's
Yes.
pop
They're really
lady
good.
queens.
Yeah.
So you know, the local talent to me should be equally as important as the imported talent.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I think personally, there's a lot of potentials in the Indonesian musicians. They're just not exposed as.
And this is the stage; they should be
Yes.
exposed.
But question here, I know it's very popular among Indonesian journalists, but if you're talking about exposing Indonesian talents to the global stage, I wonder if the percentage of the foreign journalists covering Java Jazz actually increasing, because otherwise it's going to be the same journalists covering the same local talents
Yes.
anyway. Do you know what
Well,
I mean?
are there outlets like the Indonesia channel who should be doing that and capturing and then transmitting it to the world, right?
There goes the platform and the plug from Mr. Dalton Tanonaka himself.
No, because you brought it up. But you know, you're right. Because
saw the
local
opening.
journalists will want to cover the Jessie J's and the James Browns, but the mission of this is also to tell the world that we have a variety and abundant supply of talent.
Sure.
Right? Like
True.
Stephanie sings. I mean, they
Oh,
asked
you
her
sing
to,
too?
they asked her to
You
be a
sing?
Java Jazz,
do.
but she said she was busy.
So is that what you did during the
Catwalking at the-
pageant?
Yeah,
that was
for
your talent.
Yes, I won
Oh.
top 3 most
You
talented.
sang. What song did you sing at the pageant?
Yeah.
What's up for non-blondes?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you-
Serious song.
Is it
I was expecting something.
like to the left, to the left?
Beyonce.
Okay. You know, one big name I forgot to mention in this year's show is Chaka Khan. I mean, that's
His voice is beautiful.
Yeah.
she is known for her best song is called "I Feel for You." Which came out
She's
in
come
the 80s.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not jazz, but it's okay.
No.
And you remember Chaka Khan? You do?
I'm surprised you actually know Chaka Khan. You can't
Chaka
be.
Khan?
Yeah, it's a
He
woman.
sang-
It's a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, there's another one.
She's
Too
great.
young. She's too young to actually
I guess she
know.
doesn't.
Wait,
Yeah.
there's
Chaka
another
Khan.
Indonesian singer. He's a dude. His name is Chaka Khan too.
Well, he took her
Really?
name. This
Yeah,
woman
and
has
his
been
voice is
around
beautiful.
40
You've never heard of
years.
it?
No.
Wrong
This one
one.
was already an established artist when I was growing
I
up.
think there's 2 Chaka
It's a-
Khans in the
Okay.
world.
No, there's only one, the original.
There's another one.
And if I was
Indonesian
a
singer.
judge, I'd ask you, what do you think of Chaka Khan on the pageant night?
Right.
He's great. He's a great dude.
He actually sang during the pageant night. Chaka Khan.
How you spell his name?
C-A Chakra K-R-A?
Okay, just chakra. This is chakra.
This is chakra with an H.
It's a big, soulful
Right.
African-American woman.
Yeah.
Very different. It is feedback time. I'm sure we're going to hear about that. It is your time to talk. And Sianto had this to say on Facebook. We are Indonesia wherever we are. Well, I take that to mean that, Sianto, that Indonesia is always in your heart and you are in the world, right? That's a good thing. If you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest a topic for us to tackle, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Final words, Miss Stephanie.
Oh, I have to start first.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to say thank you, and I'm really grateful for all the opportunities, and I want to say thank you to all my family and friends all over the world for the worldwide support that you gave me during the pageant. And I would like to ask all my friends who's watching this to come back home to Jakarta, or wherever you are, especially in Indonesia, to help build our nation and contribute to the society.
I'll drink to that.
Merdeka. Okay,
Yes.
final words, Lynda.
I already mentioned that I was in a hospital this past week, which is true, 8 days, horrible. At the moment, both Indonesia and neighbor Malaysia are facing one of the worst dengue fever outbreak ever recorded. So I was a victim. You don't want to be. Believe me, you don't want to be. You don't. So my only suggestion is, if you haven't done that fogging thing, get organized with your neighbors. Please do that. It's not worth going to the hospital, staying there for 8 days the way that I did. Seriously, I'm still cursing that mosquito bite me.
I think we should ban mosquitoes.
You should ban mosquitoes.
Or we fly them ship them to Australia and then let them.
No, just to Abbott. I have nothing against
Just
Australia. Just to Abbott. Send all dengue fever mosquitoes
that's
to
not
Abbott.
nice. You don't wish him to be sick. Of course. All right. Okay.
Yes, I did.
My final words. We were talking about music just a minute ago, and since you brought it up, young lady, also on March 6th, which is the beginning of Java Jazz next Friday, is a live music event called the Mr. Moonlight Show. Yes, it is. It's simply enjoyable songs that you love to hear and sing, Ritz-Carlton Pacific Place, no admission fee, and you just might get to hear a certain talk show host do his Michael Bublé tribute.
2 plugs in one show.
Maybe.
Give it to the guy.
And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Lynda and Stephanie, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. See you again next week.